Hey guys, this is your warning. We do post up spoilers. At times we're relatively offensive. We use vulgar language. So if you think that any of those are gonna offend you in any way, shape, or form, take your step back right now. Cause buddy, this is not the place for you. Anywho, have fun listening to us, and yeah, this has been your final warning.
Welcome to yet another episode of Cinematic Anarchy, and today we're going to be discussing a film picked for us by a new friend of the podcast. He was with us just a little bit ago, the man from Clockout Films, Dan.
Hey, how's everybody going? How's everybody doing? Oh, got a little bit of whiskey there.
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. I'm okay. I don't know. Maybe not as well as I'd like to be.
Are you sure, sir? Are you sure?
And, of course, joining us as well is Miss Piper, our new mainstay for the podcast.
Hello.
And we are going to be discussing a film chosen by Dan, Spookies. And you want to lead us? Yeah. Well, originally titled Twisted Souls before it was taken out of the hands of the original producer and director and kind of mashed in with somebody else's directorial vision.
Yeah, I heard it was originally called Twisted Souls, and then for some reason the production got blocked in almost 3 times, I think. And so they just kept reshooting, re-editing, all in the same house. And they just kept adding new things to where it becomes this just jumbled mess. Oh my god. But it's such a good jumbled mess from what I saw. This was my first time watching it, because I've never seen this movie ever before, so I wanted to do a podcast just coming in with a completely clean slate.
So this is a first time viewing for all three of us then?
Yep.
Oh wow.
I honestly thought at least you had knowledge of the film. I didn't realize that we were all coming in fresh off this.
No, completely fresh. Last night was my first viewing, so coming in with a completely fresh outlook.
I went in and bought the Vinegar Syndrome release especially to watch this film, so
nice. Yeah, it was my choice because I have memories of seeing it in the video store, the VHS copy. My grandparents had it in their video store, and I'd always look at it and always intrigued me, but I never brought it home. For some odd reason, I never watched it. I always ended up putting it back because maybe it looked too, spooky.
Which it turned out to be a lot less spooky than the cover might.
Yeah,
kind of tease you to feel. Yeah.
Well, that also depends on your viewing age.
Okay,
that's true. That is also true.
That's fair.
Honestly, it was actually pretty clean for a horror movie. It was actually mostly just, I guess you could say, a very bloodless creature fest.
Well, they were going for a PG-13 rating, weren't they? Or okay. I should say that the original idea was not to keep it PG-13, but when it was taken out of the hands of the original director and they were working it over to kind of fit it into what they wanted, they were trying to get it to be about PG-13.
All right, then that makes more sense. Because a lot of the horror is the creature effects themselves and all the chase scenes.
So less gore, no nudity, minimal.
I was I don't even think there's.
I was expecting the Valley chick and the greaser dude to get it on before the Muckman came.
I was expecting.
Oh god, his leather outfit.
Something.
What was that thing? It was a trash bag with a line with a white line through it.
That white line was a zipper.
Was it the zipper? Oh my god!
Imagine
trying to do that in the morning.
What I was not expecting was the bad British accent to come out of Andrea's mouth that early in the film. Just an overdone stage British accent.
Oh, yeah.
I was against that bitch the whole time until she started fighting back.
Well,
when she fought back a little bit, I was like, okay, I kind of hope for this odd mouth heifer to actually kind of survive.
It was the most minimal
self-preservation,
again,
I was
honest.
You know what? Just kill her. Anytime she opened her mouth, I was kill her.
It was minimal self-preservation. Minimal.
But she had it.
She didn't
Her
have...
whole thing was self-preservation. Everybody else's was like, well, Duke was just a douche.
Duke was a douche.
Yeah.
What about that little part they had, like that little back and forth? He's just like, I don't feel like doing nothing. I was like, where did that come from? Why is he in a bad mood all of a sudden? It was his idea to come in here and party.
I was wondering about that too. I was kind of hoping at first though that the one who seemed kind of in tune with the psychic stuff would be the one who actually got through the movie. Nope, she's the first one to be like, "I'm gonna kill you all."
It's a lot of personality disorder dialogue going on throughout this movie. As people will be completely normal, and then they're just like messing with each other in like very bipolar ways. It's just like, yeah, I want to drink. You're not even a drinker. Yeah, well, watch this.
I feel like
that I'm drinking now.
I feel like the 4 women in the movie were good friends, and the guys just got dragged along for the ride. Like, and these are all like conflicting personalities. So all of them were just
especially, the old guy who's just randomly there,
Mr. Peter.
Because everybody else is kind of like college age, and then you have like the dad.
Fair enough.
That might have been Megan's sugar daddy,
who ends up diving through the door.
That was fun. Just head first straight through the door. You're lucky that the door was paper thin. If that was a much more solid door, then we would have had a much different scene.
Well, the doors kept locking throughout. Why didn't he just use that tactic throughout the whole movie? He's like, this door's locked. Hang on, guys.
Wait, were they locked, or did they? Were they locked, or was the kitty man holding them all? Because every time you saw a door and they were trying to go through it, the cat man was like
locking them in all the time.
It was holding the
it's
knob
like every time
the
they were trying to get out a door, he was holding the knob. That was one. There was one scene in this movie, like he was following the bad British heifer up the stairs, and the next thing you know, we saw him. He was following the other bride woman down the stairs.
Oh yeah.
I was like, why didn't you finish that bitch off?
Why isn't he like knocking stuff off like the counters at night?
Fair enough. Where's his cat box?
Yeah, where's his cat box? Maybe it was somewhere in the basement. Maybe that's what the muckmen were. They were all of his kitty litter. That's why they're making.
I mean, all they did. I was wondering about that. Like, why were they farting?
Not only were they farting, but the sounds that they're supposed to be making of like groaning or whatever, it's literally just hogs oinking.
Yeah.
So farting and oinking.
And I'm like, wait. I was like, did they just fart? I'm like sitting here watching it, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what? Who in the Foley room was just like, you know what this sexy needs? All right, guys, I can handle this. What?
No, some guy probably just farted as they were editing, and like, wait, let's go with that. Can you do that again?
Oh God.
If all the listeners
do that
are
again?
just like
summon your butt
what we're talking about, this is just how the movie plays out. It's just it plays out like one of those weird like nightmares where everything is just randomized and you're in a new room with no explanation. That's just how the movie plays out. It plays out like a weird dream.
To go back to what you were talking about, Dan, like whenever it's like there was a conflict between the humans, it did just seem out of place because all of a sudden there was conflict. It's like it wasn't conflict that built up. It was like all of a sudden Duke just had an issue with somebody, or this person had an issue with this other person. All of a sudden, it's not something that built up to an issue. It was like, fuck it, we're going.
Yeah, like and it wasn't like an issue of like them trying to figure things out to get out of there. It was just like they were just chilling, and then one person would just have like an episode.
So I guess it felt throughout like this movie was, and it was actually after I started listening to the commentaries that they had, or documentaries that they had attached to the Blu-ray. Certain scenes were filmed outside of the original scenes that were filmed with the, I guess teenagers and the old man in the house. College students, I guess. So almost everything that was done with, like, the Catman and the bride and the wizard, I guess, is he a wizard or a sorcerer or whatever?
Some mixture of the two, like a mixture of like the tall man, Radu, and Vigo the Carpathian.
He's a whisperer.
With a little bit of Mr. Freeze.
But I think those were filmed to kind of intersplice with all those other scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So they were filmed to kind of make sense of the footage that they had taken and are now trying to make a movie out of.
Right. And you can tell, like, when some of those scenes were, like, separated from each other, because, like, there's the weird ghouly lizard things.
Right.
That just attacked the girl, and you can tell, like, the girl was shot completely separately with her reactions.
Yeah. I think there's one scene I almost checked out on, and that's when the arachne came in.
The Spider Woman?
The Spider Bitch.
The Spider Bitch.
Played by Sue Peck.
I don't do spiders.
You don't like spiders? Or
I don't do spiders.
Humans that turn into spiders?
I don't do spiders at all.
I want a showdown between Spike the Spider Gremlin and the Spider Bitch. I want to team up with that.
That would be an interesting crossover movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just do a sequel specifically with those two. Yeah.
The woman who turned into the Spider Bitch, gorgeous. She was absolutely stunning.
And then
was she just like hanging out down there until someone came down? Like, wouldn't I guess kind of like
she was summoned.
She was summoned.
She was summoned.
Oh yeah, he summons like the demons.
Because when she moved the Ouija board thing, she pointed it to a different demon every time.
You were paying attention.
Because we had the Reaper.
I was too like what am I watching?
I'm actually starting to wonder if because you talked about how they were filmed, like some things were separate or whatever. It's like, how separate was she doing this? Because it's like she would summon the demons, but then you had other people's reactions being different.
Well, in some cases, her summoning the demons, you're only seeing her hands moving the planchette on the Ouija board. So it may not have even been the original Carol.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're doing like a film anyway, it's like she might have been called to scene just to be there for one whole day just to do the planchette shit, and then she was like gone while they were filming everything else.
It's like we need to just have this kind of coordinate with all the creatures that he's going to be summoning around the house. Creon's the one that's controlling everything anyway. It's just he's using other people to go through the motions.
Yep.
And collect their souls.
I didn't see a lot of soul collecting till the very end.
Yeah, when he does like the little what was that?
Brainwave?
Like this blue filter that went over everything.
The blue filter over everything. Carol's head splits open like the guy from Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they had a lot of
This was a very educational film too, because this is the first film where I learned that Grim Reapers can explode when you throw them off a cliff.
Throw them off the roof, boom.
So if you ever need to fight one off, throw him off a roof.
Yep.
If
your time has come, just be sure you're out here. You're buying edge.
Little tidbit about that
scene. Be really good with a fiddle, or throw him off a roof.
So, did you watch this? Did you stream this, or do you have like a DVD or Blu-ray or?
It was on Screenbox, so.
If you watch the scene
I was able to watch it on there.
If you watch the scene where they throw the Reaper off the roof and he hits the ground, and they cut away to that explosion, the cameraman actually had to duck the WD-40 cans that they used to create that explosion. So they used an M80 and two WD-40 cans to create the explosion, which subsequently shot off and came within inches of the cameraman's head.
Oh God! If you know, when I watched that a couple times because I was laughing hysterically, and I noticed that the camera does jump very slightly.
Right.
When they explode, but before the explosion happens.
Because you got a guy just hitting the deck.
Now I'm wondering if, to keep their PG-13 rating, they had to edit the "oh fuck."
Yeah. They just cut the sound out altogether.
Cut out all the sound, just overdub it with the explosion sound.
Oh man!
Hit the fucking deck.
This movie is literally what you would call a monster mash.
It's a mashup of monsters that don't seem to go together.
Yeah, it's.
You
have the Spider Woman. You got the weird witch lady who just appears.
That one didn't make no sense.
Yeah, she was just and then she's gone.
The cackling rubber witch.
Yeah.
Hey, Jefe.
Yeah.
This also goes into our line of Muppeteer movies.
Yeah. I guess it would fit. A lot of these feel more like Muppet creatures than anything else. Honestly, the Grim Reaper kind of felt like an overdressed professional wrestler, like a luchador. He really did.
But that cackling witch was totally a puppet of some sort.
Well, I mean, it fits along with Rich's puppet that he went through the movie with. The wisecracking alcoholic.
They're probably off on their honeymoon now.
What if that's just the demonic version of Rich's puppet?
That could be true.
Because you don't see it after he dies, so...
I mean, you could...
What
he
other
could
monster?
totally, like,
There was that,
missed the opportunity of making an ashy-slashy type of scene with his puppet, you know?
Right.
You know, there's one monster that did not make sense, and that was the one that actually killed the bad British bitch, the
Andrea?
fish-looking monster.
Oh, like the weird eel leech electric man?
Right.
Yeah, but it's like they did a close-up of his heart, but then it's never showed again. Like, what was the point? It's like, why did I need the close-up of his heart?
Like,
Unless that's the way they harvested that particular soul.
By melting her face.
Very bad claymation melting. That was stop motion.
I actually liked it. That like what you were saying
I
earlier.
did like it.
Kind of like the first Evil Dead, how the Deadites smelled at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you say it, yeah.
Well, it's not only that. It's like, I mean, look at Carol's transformation. She kind of looks like she could be a Deadite.
Yeah, I don't mind stop motion in my horror movies.
I think they just went a little too
I
quick.
don't either.
I think they went a little too
Well, they were
quick with
trying
it.
to
It could have been a
make it
little slower
They were
than
trying
that.
to make it PG-13.
Yeah. True.
If you're making it PG-13, you can have gore, but you can't linger on the gore.
Yeah, you can have like a little splicker.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like with Five Nights at Freddy's when we saw the person get bitten in half. Mm-hmm. Yes, I went back and rewatched it, and yes, that bitch was bitten in half. You were right, El Jefe.
Yeah. I'm just saying because they go on and later on when Peter and was it Megan and Linda? Megan, sorry, we got to pronounce that right. Peter, Megan, and Linda.
Her name was Linda?
You didn't remember the name? Nah. I'm only saying that because
I didn't remember her name.
Up right here. Linda was the one that was constantly tailing Duke around.
Okay.
The redhead.
That was Duke's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, me and Duke always be together.
The one.
No.
The one who was like, she was like the how do you say it? It's like it's a G word. You know, she was a gratuitous booby shot without being nude.
Yeah, she was definitely the chesticles in the film.
Yeah. It was like her boobs were the ones that jiggled the whole movie.
I think that was on purpose. They focused on that a lot.
Yeah.
They did. But it's like she's a gratuitous boob shot without it being nudity.
But,
she was the boob girl for a kid-friendly horror movie.
None of these creatures fit together. Like, the zombies don't belong with the Spider-Woman, don't belong with whatever the electric eel fishman thing was. That was an amalgamation of, like, swamp creatures with I'm guessing, an electric eel tail.
It's the creature from the Blue Lagoon, or the Black Lagoon, mixed with, Ursula's henchman, mixed with something else.
Oh, we're forgetting another creature, the Tall Man Minion.
Oh, yeah.
The Tall Man Minion.
Yeah, remember from the Phantasm movies, it's like they have like a Jawa robe and cloak, but it was like
that was that little boy.
Was it the little boy? The little boy became
that little boy was in the Jawa cloak.
The Jawa. Oh yeah, that's the son of Isabel and Creon.
So that's how they got his soul. They buried him, and then he became the minion.
Well, it wasn't Billy.
I'm slowly figuring this out as I recollect the minion.
It wasn't.
In my brain.
Billy was the boy who had just turned 13. He got killed by the Were-Kitty man and buried, or he got buried alive, basically. But that little boy was around before he.
That's where his cat box was. He was just burying him with the shit in the litter.
The little Jawa boy was around before Billy was killed.
That's right.
We never see anything from the pedo stalker under the tree.
He died. He got killed by the cat man.
That's right.
Yeah, we see him but we do see him at the end come back up when that lady is leaving the house, like the woman in the bride dress.
Weirdly enough, from a marked grave.
Well, don't forget that the one guy who ran out of the house and got sucked in had a marked grave.
Which I'll to the movie's credit, this was the scene that was actually pretty intense. Was that zombie chase towards the end?
The zombie chase was pretty
well done.
So
I think it was a little overdone.
Overdone? A little overlong.
It was long. It was longer than it should have been for me.
They went to a local high school.
That was what I was looking.
They went to a local high school to get all these kids to do the zombies.
Oh,
so
wow.
she's basically
cool.
outside of the regular cast members, like the guy that was killed by the Catman in the tree, and Billy, who was actually one of the zombies. You get to see him for a brief second, but you see him with the hat and everything. Outside of that, most of them, especially the ones that were like tackling her on the ground, were a bunch of zombie kids. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so essentially you hired a bunch of kids to dress in zombie gear and then possibly inappropriately grope this woman as she's trying to hold her down on the ground. 80s films.
Sounds like a sounds like a typical teenage fantasy, you know?
Well, I mean, if
you can hire
think
college
about it,
level for that.
The actress knew what she was getting into. And when you hire a bunch of high school students as extras, basically, that's a lot less you have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Possibly, I don't know, you have different schools who have different things. And, like, some high schools, like, at my high school, they had a course in psychology, which you normally don't take until college. Maybe they had a film or a drama thing, and this was part of their credit to do that. So maybe they didn't even have to pay all these kids.
Maybe not. Or they just were just like, hey kids, you want some free pizza? Sure.
So they just they just gave him craft service. That's it.
Yeah.
I would have done it.
Me too.
I would have gone just to be in any movie for the hell of it.
I would have done it just for the pizza.
I have no shame.
I'm a little disappointed in myself that I never traveled to New York to take advantage of any of the all calls that Mr. Kaufman point out.
What? What did you say?
Lloyd Kaufman. He used to put out like ads for people to come in. Would you like to work on a film for little to no pay and blah blah blah? And
he still does that.
Yeah. It's like I've never traveled out to New York to take advantage of that, and I should have by now.
They're working on a movie called Caterkiller right now.
Caterkiller.
And then they're looking for help right now on that. So I don't know if they're done.
If I could do it, I would. It's like I just want to act. That's all I want to do.
I'm kind of good with what I'm doing right now. I'm having fun.
I mean, I'm liking the podcast. Don't get me wrong, but we know acting's my dream.
I'm aware.
Dream.
I don't think I could act my way out of a wet paper bag.
I mean,
I don't know.
With the right script in the right direction, I think you have potential.
You don't even have to have a script. Just have it on your head. Rip it open. There, you've acted your way out of a wet paper bag.
There you go. Ad lib. Go.
Have a look of disgust on your face.
I don't have a wet paper bag available, so we'll just have to say, yeah, maybe I could.
Speaking of acting, okay, who was the best performer in this whole movie?
The one that I appreciated the most was definitely Rich. I like
Spider
Rich.
Bitch. You know, for some reason, I like the Wizard the best because I think he was having the most fun.
You think that he was having more fun than Rich?
Even though Richard was annoying, like he's the one that went all out with that role.
That's true.
Yeah, some of it just felt completely out of place though. Like 1 minute he's like supposed to be scared and he's a jokester and all this other stuff. He's appropriately scared though. Next thing you know, they cut away, Carol's not there no more, and next thing you know, he's a jokester again. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, that can just go with the directing and editing. They could have told him to be serious in this scene, and then they jowled it together.
I mean, I can definitely
be a Richard defender here.
I'm the defender of Rich. I really appreciated the wise ass performance. I appreciated just like, hey, this whole place is a toilet, and then he decides to piss in the fireplace.
He starts to piss in the fireplace.
The thing it wasn't lit, that would have smelled awful.
Oh, I know.
I loved his opening line where they go over the bump, and he's like, hey, yeah, could you maybe take it easy? He goes, I haven't drank enough to really appreciate or I haven't drank enough for me to be, have my brain splattered all over the highway. I'm not quite that,
I need at least 2 more.
Man, I am messing up that line. I'm messing up the line. Basically, I'm not quite drunk enough yet to appreciate my brains being splattered all over the highway was kind of the gist of it, but now I want to look up the line because that is not how he delivered it at all.
Like I said, I did enjoy him at first. It's just that, like I said, and it could have been directing, editing, anything in that category. But like after he's appropriately scared, and then next thing you know, he's wisecracking and being essentially a dumbass again. I'm just like, eh.
Well, that may just be
but
how
the
he...
actor himself, as an actor, did great.
Yeah.
It's like I can't fault him there. Like his acting was great, and I'm just going off the character, I guess. Like being a wise ass, being scared, and then being appropriately scared, and then just all of a sudden, and why would you follow a bitch that you don't know?
Right. He probably has my favorite death too, with when his face becomes deflated. Because
Spider Bitch is sucked out his insides.
Yep.
That kind of calls me back to Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Really?
When Freddy basically sucks the life out of the asthmatic girl.
Yeah.
And she gets deflated.
Mm-hmm. Or
but I don't know which one came out first.
Freddy 4 came out in like 88.
When did this movie come out?
Dream Warriors came out in...
This is 88.
Was it 88?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did this movie came out in 88?
Yes, this movie came out in 88.
Well, then they wouldn't have had time to mock each other.
When did Dream Master come out?
Isn't that the fifth one?
No, fourth one. Fifth one is Dream Child.
Right.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I feel a lot of editing.
I need to hand in my Freddy fan card.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Dream Master came out in 1988.
All right, cool.
So they're all 88.
They definitely didn't have time. They definitely did not have time to mock each other or copy each other.
And I'm going to have to cut out a whole lot of silence there. Just
to do that look up.
Right. You got to Google, but sometimes...
Sorry. Hey, that's okay. You know. That's what the power of editing is for.
Exactly.
And that is not what Spookies had.
No.
No. They had the power of editing, as in someone had too much power with editing.
Yeah.
It's like they did plenty of editing. It's just they...
You know when they say, like, it's better to have more footage than too little? I think this movie suffered from having way too much footage.
I think the problem...
We'll just put this here, and this... It's like a jigsaw puzzle. We can make this fit.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that the powers that be didn't allow the original director to go through with his own vision. Mm-hmm. And so it became, this is not what he wanted. This is not, I guess, Twisted Souls. Like, a lot of this was out of his hands. It was just his footage interspliced with what they felt was best.
Do we know what he really wanted?
You know, honestly, I didn't deep dive enough to really know where they wanted to go with the whole thing. I just know that the ending to the film, the pulsating grave that you see at the beginning and the very ending of the film that Creon kind of pops out of, you know, laughing his ass off. It wasn't supposed to be Creon coming out of the grave, but a whole bunch of... It was going to be sort of animation. They were going to have, like, ghosts coming out of the grave.
Oh.
So, Spookies.
That did seem like a very, like, empty shot at the end. When he popped out.
I felt like they were trying hard
how did he get in there?
They were trying hard to lay out for a sequel, and they didn't land it at all.
No, they did not. Because, like I said, how did he end up in the coffin when he was dead up yonder, upstairs?
Well,
my Southern came out.
Just because she stabbed him in the head doesn't mean he's dead.
It's not too late. It's not too late. I think all the filmmakers are still alive to give us a Spookies too.
They hinted at wanting to do
there are plenty of people who could
unofficial sequel.
Yeah.
There's only, I think...
directors do it all the time.
There's only one person who is not currently amongst the living. And that is Maria Pacheco, I believe.
Oh, well, rest in peace.
The woman who was actually entered... This was her first movie.
The Bride. No, that's right. And also, the woman who played Andrea is no longer with us.
That's fine.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't want her dead, but I didn't want Andrea back in the movie anyway.
They should rest with the Muckmen.
All you need is the Bride and Creon, really, because the cat was mostly in makeup, and the little boy's an adult now.
Yeah, there were everybody died anyway, so you need to kind of reset the main characters.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So they could bring the weird kitty back.
The star of the movie is the house and Keon, and then his soul taking. So all you need is just a new set of creatures to exploit.
And all you need is a new set of people to find the house.
And a new people to take the souls from.
I believe it would be fun to bring back the original special effects team for the film, though. The not special effects, but the people that did
really holds up. Like it's almost like they They had like a horror movie. It was like watching a horror movie, but they cut all the boring stuff out and just kept in all like the monster stuff.
It's like, I would actually
any
like
really boring
if this movie was coming out, I would definitely audition for it. Like if there was a sequel.
Me too.
I would audition for it.
Stay on the books with that.
Let's do it.
Keep a very close eye on that.
Let's do it. Let's do a petition. Spookies 2. We'll do a Kickstarter campaign for the filmmakers.
But you must cast me and you.
Me.
Well,
That's gotta be part of that
I would like to
petition.
have my soul taken by the spider bitch.
I'll let you, because I don't want to be anywhere near that scene. Watch it. I would get put in that scene just because I'd be the most terrified of it.
Do I really need to get taken by the spider bitch? Yes. Get in there. Get in the web.
I don't want to. This is like Fear
Get in
Factor
the
for
web,
me.
lady.
Just hearing me crying like a damn baby. I
Now,
don't
what is,
wanna.
Now, are they going to use your same scream and like just recycle it like they did with Richie's? I feel like the transformation scene just like was going on a little bit too long and just kept cutting back to Richie's same reaction. Ah! And then we got like a different effect of the transformation, the same reaction. Ah! It reminded me of like Greasy Strangler, like the Porto scene.
There were a few scenes that were a little more drawn up than they needed to be. I think
Also, again, there was a lot of head splitting in this because you had the Carol's head split towards the end where she's like, the blue filter, and then the spider bitch's head kept splitting open to reveal more.
It was almost like they filmed like one of those electric globes, and then they just zoomed in on it, and then just put it over the footage. And it's just like just green screen the blackout, and then there we go. There's our effect. What are those things called? They sold $1 million of. They're like the lava lamps of the 80s.
The electric globes?
Yeah, the electric globes. Do they have an official name?
Oh, they definitely have an official name, but I cannot remember the name.
Were they called a plasma globe?
Plasma globe, yeah. I remember Chunk, plays with one in the attic in Goonies.
It's definitely yeah, that's what it is. It's
right
a plasma globe.
Chuckle shuffle.
They keep talking about it Goonies too, and I'm just like, just let it go. Richard Donner is not with us anymore. They're all like a little bit too old. The only way you can do it is if you just have Data be the main character.
Chris, I thought you brought that up to me.
That's what I was saying. Is like really the only way that you can do it. I would not attach Corey Feldman to the project at all. Just put him aside. But you might be able to get like a couple of the main Goonies and maybe make it revolve around adventures of their kids.
Yeah. Sean Astin, he was really good in Stranger Things. I could see him coming back and being Mikey again. And you got...
I just don't think Josh Brolin's coming back.
Josh Brolin. He could probably have a little cameo.
He could have a cameo, yeah.
Him and Andy.
Oh, man. God, what was her name? Something green.
I don't know her real name.
Lucas?
No, the girl who played Andy.
Yeah, the girl from Lucas.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either.
What is Lucas?
Well, she was in a movie with another Corey Haim.
Carrie Green, that was her name.
Carrie Green.
Oh.
Corey Haim plays a nerd who gets on the football team, and then things go full circle again because Sean Astin goes on to play Rudy.
You know who Carrie Green looks a lot like?
I'm listening.
Robin Lively.
I could see.
And Robin Lively was a very big, 80s it girl for, Teen Witch, Wildcats. Wait, Wildcats was the 70s, late 70s. Never mind. But still.
That threw me
she did a lot of things in the 80s.
I found out that she was the sister of Blake Lively. It's like I never connected those two together before, so it wasn't something I ever looked up, because not for nothing I could care less about Blake Lively.
I didn't find that out until Ryan Reynolds did that Mint Mobile commercial talking about his sister-in-law.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I've just been outside of regular cable television for just long enough to avoid those commercials.
Did you not watch YouTube? Because that's where I saw the commercial.
Are we really away from cable, though? Because I feel like all the streaming services put together is just the same price as cable.
I'm not paying for cable.
If they're all put together.
With ads anyway.
But that's if you put them all together. The thing is like you can pick and choose which ones you want if you don't watch certain things on different streaming services.
It's true, but
exactly.
But I'm needy, and I need all of them because I need all the content.
The only time I get inundated,
I can't even watch all the content.
Tubi or Freevee.
It's like, do I want to get rid of Disney Plus? No, I can't get rid of Disney Plus because I want to watch Simpsons. And do I really want to get rid of Paramount Plus? No, I don't want to get rid of Paramount Plus because all my old Nickelodeon shows are on there.
Also, I Love Lucy's on there.
I know.
Wait, that does make sense. Nick at Night.
Mm-hmm.
Because I Love Lucy and I Dream of Jeannie and all that came on at Nick at Night, which was Nickelodeon at night.
Like,
you know what streaming services should do? Like try and be like Spotify and be able to create your own like playlists, so you can like do your own like syndications.
That would be nice.
Right, like setting up your own like.
Then they would
set your own like Saturday morning cartoon lineup.
Well,
but see, and then they would actually find out like which shows that they have on each streaming service are not getting watched and which ones are.
Yeah.
They were trying to do something similar with when they bought Anchor initially. They were trying to do something similar where they allowed their streaming service to be used, like you can use any music on their streaming service if you're a Spotify member, to make a music-based radio show or podcast for their platform. So as long as you're making it for their platform or within their platform, the music will play alongside of the podcast that you're creating. So you like get to introduce the music, like you could be your own friggin' shock jock or whatever. Just kind of make your own playlist,
Ooh.
Make your own podcast. So
that sounds kind of fun.
I thought that was interesting. I'd like to see
what
Netflix
did you guys
do
think
that.
of like the score in Spookies? I thought it was like a great like 80s horror score. It was kind of similar.
I like most of the
going back
music.
to Phantasm. It was kind of similar to the Phantasm themes.
I've actually never seen Phantasm. Go ahead, give me your looks.
See, I have.
But the original, like the opening score, definitely drew me in.
It's the reason why I dragged Piper kicking and screaming into this podcast, because there's a lot of movies that she's going to get to watch for the first time. So, I'm going to be picking some choice films that I haven't actually gotten to do on the podcast because I don't know if you've run across our friend Miss Honeybee, Dan. I don't know. I don't think she was on the podcast when you were there with us.
So. I've been on with Sarah.
You were on with Sarah, so she's from Two Chicks Talking Flicks.
Okay.
Their podcast is finally getting back up and running again.
Good.
Yay!
I know Sarah was going through a rough time for a little bit.
Sarah was, and then a friend of hers was as well. The person that she does the podcast with, and now they're finally getting things back together and kind of using their podcast for a little podcast therapy and getting back to it. So
yeah, we kind of hit a snag like that too in like the July months, like July, August.
I had a snag because we're kind of switching out main hosts for the podcast. Miss B is going on to do her own thing. We congratulate her. She's been working very hard to become a tattoo artist for quite a while now, and she got the great news that the person that she's apprenticing under has finally gotten licensed to run his own shop. And she's getting first chair in the shop.
Oh, good for her.
So she's a busy bee.
Much congratulations to her.
All pun intended. Thomas was sort of a floating butterfly in this particular podcast. He was here, he was there, he was not there, he was just all over the place. So he may come back at some point, but he's overseas. He's in the UK, so.
It's like I joined in, late, was it like April, May?
Yeah,
probably around May.
You've been a guest on the podcast several times over the years too. So
yeah, it's like when I was starting to become more of a main person, it's like in July I became homeless, do some stuff, and then it's like now I'm at a point where I can at least record from my phone. Hopefully soon I'll be in my own place where I can record back from my PC, and all of my audio will be clear.
So I feel like I want to ask
Do
you
what?
guys if now. We're gonna get back to talking about Spookies for just a second. This this film in general, it was rated fairly low, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking up the IMDb rating for it right now. It was rated 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's actually a fairly high score.
And it's rated, well, even higher. This was rated a 4.9% on IMDb, which is a bit higher there. This could have easily been rated a lot lower on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I would say it's fair, though. Jokes aside, it's not a boring movie. It's actually very entertaining.
I mean, I just watched it twice. I watched it once last night and once before we started here today, and I'm not disappointed in watching it.
It might not be it might not be a perfect movie by any stretch, but it's entertaining.
I mean, it's one of those things. I wouldn't say it's a movie I'd watch like once a month or anything like that, but I mean, hell, I definitely give it a gander every now and then.
I mean, personally, I want to go and find out...
It was not a boring movie.
...where Rich's deflated face is. Well, apparently the actor that plays Rich had it. He owned it for a long time, but money became an issue, and he auctioned it off on eBay at one point.
Oh, no.
His deflated face?
I hope whoever has that has it secured in a glass case where Richard's deflated head can live forever.
Right. So that deflated face after the Spider-Woman basically sucked all the vitality out of him.
Good old Miss Spider Bitch.
Fucking Spider Bitch.
But personally, okay, how would you rate it? So given what they've rated it, this is the first time for us watching it.
What are we rating it out of?
I always go 1 to 10 here, and you can rate it however you want, honestly.
Sure, I want to go 11?
Go to 11, right. We're talking about making our rating system. Yeah, give an homage to Spinal Tap. You let it go to 11.
I'm looking forward to Spinal Tap 2 as well.
Right, that is in the works, isn't it? They were looking to...
Rob Reiner is directing Spinal Tap 2 with the three main guys again.
Oh, dear.
Honestly, I think it could work because it's just so much time's passed that they can do the has-been
aging rockers thing,
regain their yesteryear glory.
Oh, I can't wait to see Michael McKean in the old gear.
But anyway, back to the rating. I would give it a 5.5. Like, even though it was confusing, it was muddled, it was all over the place, it still kept me glued to the screen.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see what monster would pop up next.
I'd give it a 5.75. Especially with my first watch, because even though I thought the ending was drawn out, I kept wondering, is she gonna get out of this? And then it's like she gets right. I was like, she ain't gonna get out. Then she gets out, and I'm like, is she gonna get out alive?
And then Catman was like, surprise, surprise.
Hello, Mr. Kitty.
I want to say that basically, considering the movie that we watched recently, Piper, we got the pleasure of watching Thanksgiving, which was I don't have anything good to say about it, honestly. It's one of those films that I just kind of... They were going for comedy all the way through. There was nothing about the movie that was supposed to be taken seriously. But even the plot, I fell asleep a couple times trying to watch the movie. It was just not interesting enough for me to commit to watching the third one. Watch the first one, not going to watch the third one. Given that I have that fresh in my mind, I would probably rate this about a 6. A little higher, because there's far worse out there, and this was actually entertaining.
Yeah.
I have something to say about Thanksgiving.
What, you want to say something?
Something positive.
What do you want to say?
I can say something positive.
Okay.
It's going to be fun to rip it apart artistically.
If you get a chance to sit down, have you watched Thanksgiving at all?
Me?
Yeah.
I have not watched Thanksgiving, actually. There's one that zoomed me by. I haven't gobbled it up yet.
Yeah, gobble gobble, motherfucker. I think that's their tagline, actually.
Don't do it.
It is well worth not watching, as far as I'm concerned.
I watched it just so we could do a podcast on it.
Poultrygeist was pretty good, though. That was fun.
I've got to watch the whole thing. I've only seen bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces of what? I'm sorry, Pipe.
Poltergeist.
Oh, Poltergeist. You should watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I need to watch the whole thing.
It goes along.
The only thing I've seen of it is the whole back kitchen scene of all the murder.
So, just to be, this feels a little disappointing. IMDb rating on Thanksgiving is 4.2, with Spookies being a 4.9. Yes, Spookies is rated higher, but it should have been a lot higher than this.
Oh, Thanksgiving should have been a 0.1, maybe to the negative.
Spookies deserve
they have
to
a
be
gravy flavored pineapple.
a 3 to a 4 is like unwatchable. Like Spookies needs to be at least at like a 5-ish area. It's at least it's a good
between
time.
a 5 and 6.
All right. We haven't gotten a chance to do that particular podcast with Miss Peyton yet, but I will say, with low budget films, you can either skimp on the acting, or skimp on the practical effects, or skimp on the script a little bit, but you can't do all of them at the same time. You can't just kind of say, I'm going to do the bare minimum on everything to put it together. I felt like script was lacking. The actors didn't seem to know how to act. The guy that played the turkey, compared to the guy that played the hand puppet turkey throughout the entire film, none of them could act across from him. He had all the charisma. So when the hand puppet turkey is the one that has all the charisma in the film, something's going on here. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So it became a Muppet movie.
It basically became a Muppet movie, yes.
Or Ghoulies 3.
Okay.
I've never seen Ghoulies.
You've never seen...
I knew I was going to get that look from both of y'all.
You're gonna... You haven't seen it yet. See, you're giving me a list.
If you like
remember my list?
If you like Spookies, you will love Ghoulies.
Okay.
You're gonna watch Ghoulies.
The original Ghoulies has a similar vibe to what Spookies was trying to do with Keon and everything. Wouldn't you say, Chris?
Yeah. There's a lot of
With
potty
whole,
humor in that too.
With the whole monsters coming out from a Ouija board incantation thingy, and they're all fun monsters.
All these movies with Ouija boards, and I'm just wanting to yell at the screen, "Salt! All you fuckers need some salt! Stop playing with Ouija boards stop playing with Ouija boards, period."
What movie did we just watch that you were saying that? You were talking about a Ouija board. What movie did we just watch that you were yelling at us about?
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist, that's right.
Oh, yeah. What about the Witchboard series?
You know, honestly, the first few Witchboard movies were not all that bad. It's once they started to get past, like, 4, 5, 6, and they kept going on. There's, like, 16 of them now?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
At least.
I've never seen any of them.
I mean, that happens with every series. You get that sequelitis.
It got to the point where it became TNA with a Ouija board. That's kind of where it went.
I mean, all the
isn't that how most really horror movies end up going?
Until they start bringing Dollman in. I think that's where it falls off for me.
I've seen one Puppet Master movie, and that was the one that was done not too long ago.
Tim Thomas is where it fell off for you?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
I think he's a highly underrated actor, honestly. I love the Trancers movies that he was in. I liked the Dollman movies. Dollman versus the Demonic Toys, I was kind of half and half about.
Isn't this where most horror movies go when they start having sequels? Like, after number 1, if number 1 wasn't also a TNA flick, most of them become a TNA flick with lots of blood.
Yep.
Yeah. That's sort of a formula for...
maybe except for Freddy Krueger movies, because most of those weren't about the tits and ass.
Salem's Lot 2, what didn't that have, a lot of, tits in it? Because I remember, my mom let me rent it because the first Salem's Lot was just a TV movie, so she was like, oh, yeah, this one's okay for you to watch. And it was a completely different movie.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks,
Answered
Mom.
a few questions for me.
When the TV movie gets funding.
Yes. TV goes, I wouldn't say that. TV movie becomes late night cable movie. It's still a movie.
Right.
It's just, it's being handled a bit differently. It went from being hey, CBS fare to Joe Bob Briggs drive-in theater fare.
And it's funny, you say that the sequels become TNA fare. That's exactly what happens in Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies 3 is essentially just a college sex comedy with Muppets in it.
That's a fair assessment. You know what you need to watch, Piper? And I'll guarantee, I feel like you're going to tell me you haven't watched it. Critters.
If it's a movie with puppets, I've seen bits and pieces of Critters.
He's about to say, if it's a movie with puppets...
If it's a movie with puppet sex, I saw Team America. But Critters.
That's marionette sex.
I've seen bits and I've seen bits and pieces of it. I want to say I sat down and watched the whole movie when I was a kid, not because I wanted to, but because my dad wanted to watch it. but I couldn't tell you anything that happens except for maybe a big ball. But that might have been the third one.
That's the second one, where they all come together and become a big critter ball and run people over, turn them into skeletons.
But Critters, I'm not like against seeing it. Like, I always wanted to watch it. My mom was never going to rent it for me though, because I thought it was no more bad than Gremlins. But that's because I saw movie boxes.
Did you just compare Critters to Gremlins?
In fairness, I was a kid and I just saw movie boxes. So as a kid, I was allowed to watch Gremlins. So when I saw Critters, and it kind of had the same name-ish, and they were little beasts, you know? I was like, maybe it's about the same. Mom was like, no.
Did you ever run across hobgoblins when you were a kid?
No.
Well, Munchies.
Munchies, well...
It's like, I might practice witchcraft, but I ain't seen a hobgoblin. No, I'm just kidding. Munchies? No. Did everybody smoke weed?
The thing that looked like a Muppet John Stamos amalgamation.
What word did you just use?
Amalgamation? We'll say mashup,
That's
okay?
an SAT word if I ever heard one.
SAT word.
I pull out the $10 words every once in a while.
You just pulled a triple letter double word score for Scrabble.
I don't know if that would be a triple letter double word score. There's some other ones that you got to use for that.
Maybe it's a double letter triple word score.
You got to get the XYZ in there.
When in doubt, always use an S, so you can take that person's word.
Fair enough.
Amalgamation.
Amalgamations.
Yes.
Ha! It's okay.
Oh, amalgamation.
There you go, right.
Oh.
Or sometimes it's an ES, depending upon the word.
Yep, depending upon the word.
Occasionally you got to pull an ES.
Why does that just sound dirty?
How do you think a sequel to this movie would go?
With my death and Spider Bitch's web.
What'd you say, Pipe?
I said, with my death and Spider Bitch's web. I've already cast myself in this movie.
I think similar to the way we pitched it earlier. I think a sequel would be, what's his name? Creon.
Very close to Crayon.
Crayon.
Marker.
He's playing with all the grays in the box.
His name is Crayola.
All right, so the Crayola the wizard, he comes back from the dead or whatever, and Crayola the wizard has to obtain a new wife because the other one, ran away and got killed by the Catman. And we basically just kind of rehash Big Trouble in Little China. He's got to find a new wife and obtain the souls to get his power.
Just with different monsters.
Just with a different group of people and new monsters.
If he needs a list, he can go watch the 2013, I think it was, Cabin in the Woods. They had a whole list of monsters from mythology back there.
There you go. Especially the merman. I think the merman and the lizard guys need to have a face-off. Is it a lizard guy or is it like a snake guy? I can't tell.
What lizard guy?
The lizard guys were there two of them? The lizard guys that got poked with the
fireplace
fire poker.
Yeah, they looked like mermen, basically. I think those were mythological mermen, though, because if you look at old pictures of what they thought mermen.
Some of the little ones that were attacking the blonde.
The ugly things, yeah. The ones with the snaggle
teeth with the bookcase.
Yeah, those were like.
Those are mermen.
They weren't mermen. They were not like mermen. They were more like there's another mythological beast that they look like that's underwater. It's like merfolk looked a little bit different.
It was like a little
It's like they looked terrifying, kind of like that, but you needed more humanosity.
My favorite stunt of the movie is when she has the poker in the lizard, and then the puppet just goes thunk right on the floor. There was no consideration for how that was edited. It's just like
there's actually one.
If you want to talk about
there's one lizard thing that did not actually get killed because it stayed in that one spot in the little brick encasing, just watching and growling.
It was like the watcher who was just masturbating in the corner. And then you had Catman looking out the window like a creeper.
If you want to
looking in the window,
talk about stunts that looked or made the actor themselves, or I guess the character within the film, look a little stupid. Duke running and just diving through that door down the stairs. Like, he dives in one area, and he comes out just rolling down a staircase into the Muckman basement.
I don't know. If you want to talk about the stunts just looking ridiculous, the whole fight scene between Duke and the old man, Peter.
I mean, if we're going to give props to door diving, it goes to Peter, like I said earlier.
It goes to Peter.
Well,
he can
bust the door with his head.
Door. Like, he did like a Superman through the door.
Like, he just
his arm stretched out.
I can understand if you go head first, but how's the door breaking if you go hand first?
I don't know. Maybe
no
there's some
background
that got edited out.
Or I could even see kind of shoulder first, kind of going in that way.
You know, I did not see a disclaimer in the credits or anything that says that no one got hurt during this movie.
Please do not try this at home.
There are definitely some splinters in those hands.
Yeah, just a few. Even if that was like just particle board, that was as thin as a trailer wall.
What made that scene even better is if they put a whoosh sound effect in that dive. Wait a minute, the door.
You know, that actually might have made the movie a little bit more entertaining, just following things up with cartoon sound effects.
I mean, it worked for the Muckman. Why didn't they follow through with it?
Right, Duke falling down the stairs, just...
I don't even know why they were making those sounds. They were just standing there, and then it was just fart sounds. Like, it's not like it was like their movement.
The slow walking farts.
Right, just oink fart,
like, I can
oink fart.
If
you know,
it was like their movement, and it was like just their arms moving or something kind of like that, and their arms were making the fart noises. But no, they were just standing there, and there was no explanation of why there's fart noises.
It's the early inspiration for Kevin Smith's Golgothan shit demon from Dogma.
You know, it's a good thing though. That those,
I wonder. I mean, they look similar.
They look similar, and he's pretty much just going all out with it. So
right.
It's a good thing that, you know, the Muckmen were destroyed by water and not by fire. The whole basement would have, that whole house might have went up.
Wine.
They were not destroyed. I was going to say, they're not destroyed by water. They're destroyed by fermented grapes.
Yep.
The first one was destroyed by water. There was water on the ground.
That's true. Yeah.
So was it just any liquid?
Pretty much.
Guess.
They dissolved in liquid.
Like, if you get it wet, it dissolves? Sort of the opposite of what happens with the Mogwai?
Yes, if you get it moist, it dissolves.
Oh, don't use that word.
I do it just to make you cringe. Just for every time you look at me when I say I have not seen it.
It's just one of those words. Yeah, right? But you get in the same
moist?
Face. Yeah, see?
Again, how do you describe scrumptious cake?
Spongy.
Moist.
Fluffy.
Fluffy. There you go. Spongy, fluffy cake.
It's a cake. It's either moist or it's dry.
No, spongy or
moist
fluffy.
Moist is when you go out after it rains in socks.
Yeah, it's probably one of the few acceptable times to say moist.
No, that's damp. You're welcome. Your face is worth it.
Well, unfortunately, nobody gets to see my face, seeing as this is all audio.
Yet.
You gotta wait till we go video to pull this kind of shit, and then you can get the full facial reaction.
Yeah.
You know what? When we go video, I'll moist it up.
Yeah, you can go full moist on Chris.
I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. All right, so
that should be a t-shirt. Full moist. Go full moist.
Full moist. Oh boy.
I might give you a shirt with that on it now.
Any final words about the movie?
Everyone should watch it at least once.
Oh yeah, if you're a fan of practical effects and rubbery monster movies from the '80s, give this one a go. It's completely harmless, I would say.
I wouldn't say completely harmless, but I would have preferred to have watched this film personally. Like, I liked the movie, but this is something that, like, for a first-time experience, I would have preferred to have, like, a group of friends over and just watching this together, just purely for the what-the-fuck moments. It's
definitely a drunken midnight watch.
Yeah, a few drinks, maybe an edible,
I don't know. Don't go too far with that edible.
Would definitely enhance it, especially the blue filter scene. Like, what was happening?
I have no idea.
That might call for some shrooms.
I probably would have collapsed with laughter on an edible if I saw the door dive scene.
If that's what they did to explain how these people were rapidly aging, if that's what they did for that, I am terrified to imagine what they were attempting to do with said animation when the grave was supposed to burst open in the end and show the ghosts instead of Creon, laughing with a hole in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
I think this is definitely worth more than a once-over. I'll more than likely watch this again. I know that I'm going to be sitting down to watch it with my son because he missed it, and he wanted me to just kind of send him the thing on Letterboxd, and so he could kind of look it over himself. I'm like, I don't think there's any place you can just watch this. I think we have... You said it's on Screambox, right?
It is on Screambox.
It's weird, because I have Screambox, and for some reason, it's not showing on my end. So I
Really?
purchased. That's why I ended up purchasing the DVD. I'm like, for the price that they're asking for the Blu-ray, why not just buy it instead of renting it?
What's Screambox?
It's like another Shudder.
It's like a horror streaming service.
Yeah.
I have Screambox. I have Shudder.
I did it on Fandor.
That's part of my AMC Plus package. They have Shudder as attached to that, so it's well worth it. I watch it a little too much, maybe.
Well, at least you're getting your money's worth.
You know the weirdest thing? Between the three of us, I actually think that, oh man, now I'm brain farting on what I was going to say. Huh.
Oh God, you're making muck noises in
Tubi
your
has
head.
the best horror section.
I do like Tubi.
They have probably the most diverse horror section of most.
They do. They got
sites.
Everything from Full Moon to Trauma to everything in between.
There's a couple of sites that I've appreciated lately that have things that you can't really find other places. Pardon me. Edit that out later.
You thought it was going to be me.
Rarefilm.com is a really decent place to find a lot of kind of odds and ends that you don't see anyplace else. There's a lot of things.
I remember you sending me a link to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow Entertainment have pulled. Like, they put them on that site, but then they've seen the interest in it from that site, and they've pulled it and done an archival release through one of their boutique Blu-ray formats. I'm kind of talking out of my ass right now, if you can't tell. And there's another one that I think I sent you a link for that one as well that deals specifically with independent cinema, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's like New Wave or New Vision Video or something to that nature.
New World?
No. It's an independent film site. Basically, you can go to kind of sit down and watch. Like, I think one of the things they had featured recently is that independent film Murder Size.
Okay.
I think I sent that.
I think a couple of my friends worked on that
at the same time. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, mainly because I talked to them mainly through, I guess it was X, now it's Twitter, and trying to figure out where it is in here while I'm just doom scrolling for the next 20 minutes because so many people have just filled my box with inane crap that I can't find it. They reached out and thanked me for sharing, which is like what most people do, or thank you. They reach out personally to thank you and try to get you to go over to their YouTube page. It's like, no, I'm good. Thank you. I followed you because I listened to the podcast or this, that, and the other thing. The YouTube page right now, some of them are good. Some of them are just sort of the same video version of what I just listened to. So I have more time to do audio than I do video because the job that I work at, I can pop in a set of earbuds and just listen to podcasts for 8 hours a day and just bop around doing that. So
Same.
Time well wasted. It's just nice to have something going on in the ears all day long.
Yeah.
I can agree with my job.
Well, if
other things like if you're working in like retail and they're playing the same like playlists with the same 13 songs.
You mean around Christmas time when you hear nothing but Mariah?
Yep.
All I want for Christmas is for you to shut the fuck up, Mariah.
They actually had, at the coffee shop that I went to earlier this morning, they had a tip jar. And on one side it said, who's your favorite Christmas singer? And on one side there's Frank Sinatra. And on the other side it's Mariah Carey. And I'm like, does anybody ever put anything in Mariah's dish there? And they're like, oh yeah, a lot of people. I go, then I don't ever want to meet those people. Not that I can't appreciate some of Mariah Carey's squeaks. However, I
can appreciate Mariah Carey as a singer.
The Christmas version of Mariah Carey, like 90% of the Christmas version of certain singers I cannot tolerate. Harry Connick Jr. I can deal with. Frank Sinatra I can deal with, because they have a catalog of songs. They don't rely on one that they play over and over and over and over.
Yeah, hasn't she re-recorded that several times throughout the last couple of years? 4?
Yeah, at least 4 times.
Since she came out with it in the 90s. Because she did one in the 90s, the original.
It's like, hey, you didn't think of maybe something new to let people listen to? There's a lot of Christmas songs out there.
The sad thing is she did a new Christmas song with Jennifer Hudson and Ariana Grande. And it's a good song. It's just not played on the radios.
It's probably because people have a little bit of Mariah exhaustion. If you rely on one song,
All I Want for Christmas.
If you rely on one song for over a decade,
to on repeat? Last Christmas by Wham or All I Want for Christmas?
Oh, good lord!
All I Want for Christmas.
I'm
going Mariah on this one.
Oh, Sophie's choice right there.
No George Michael fans here, I guess. You guys hate George Michael more than Mariah.
I don't hate George Michael, but that song is just, at least All I Want for Christmas has me a small beat I can twerk to.
I would say I have an equal amount of lack of love for both of their Christmas catalogs. I can't say that I hate one more than the other. I could live a perfectly acceptable life with never hearing either one of them again, and I know I'll come across them again. You can't walk into a grocery store without hearing one of those songs going over the speakers.
And since we're on the subject, I was thinking the other night, if Paul McCartney was never a Beatle, he would still be a very successful one-hit wonder with simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Oh God, that song. I fucking hate that song.
Okay, that one I don't mind. I don't mind. It's right.
I'd rather listen to the words over and over again. I'd rather listen to that Wars Over song over and over.
I know the synth is very obnoxious towards the end of that song, but it's infectious at the same time.
A lot of groups relied on synth way back when.
A
lot of them.
The only time I can get behind the repetitiveness of like a phrase is probably in Crimson and Clover.
I want to say
by the original or by Joan Jett.
I want to say simply having a wonderful Christmas time is probably right up there with that the David Bowie Bing Crosby version of Winter Wonder. Was it Winter Wonderland?
Oh. God. And I love both of them. But what was going on when they recorded that?
I can say one person that has a good Christmas album is probably Kelly Clarkson. Like, she has some songs that are original, and she does some of the older ones, but it's actually good.
I'm trying to look up.
There's very few artists I will listen to like a Christmas album specifically by them. Like Christina Aguilera had one. I think I listened to like 3 songs, and they were all original ones because there's only so much I can get behind.
All the over singing.
I'm trying to figure out.
I kind of go to like punk rock Christmas music, like listening to punk covers of all those songs.
There was a series of albums that I actually kind of appreciated. They were called A Very Special Christmas, and they did a series of them, so they actually brought artists. They only had them do a single song on each one of them. So they had artists like John Cougar Mellencamp, Run DMC, Stevie Nicks, Bob Seger. Madonna did a version of Santa Baby at one point.
And the Tom Petty song that's in Home Alone is got its debut on Volume 2 of that.
Right, exactly. It was the second one, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciated those, and there were actually a couple of like punk Christmas albums that they did that I kind of appreciated.
Yes.
Who doesn't appreciate Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis?
I love that song, and it's a great video too. It's 80s cheese all the way.
Trying to figure out how we
I
got
love that it opens Die Hard as well. Don't you got any Christmas music? Hey man, this is Christmas music.
God, that just reminded me of this movie I watched called Love Hard with Nina Dobrev. She's supposed to be doing a Christmas karaoke, and she ends up doing a song by Meatloaf. I just forgot the name of the song, and I actually like the song.
I Do Anything?
Yes! She ends up like, she's singing, she ends up like...
a lot, and that's the one that's the most karaoke that I can think of in his catalog.
She did it, and the announcer's like, and we're doing this chick's version of a Christmas song, and she ends up like having an allergic reaction to something. She looks grotesque, and it's such good. So good.
Right after I'm done here now, I'm going to go watch like stupid Christmas movies. Just for the hell of it.
You should watch Love Hard. It's on Netflix.
I'm actually going to watch Black Friday, which is technically a Christmas movie. I've been wanting to watch it.
With Bruce Campbell?
Yeah.
Isn't that technically a day after Thanksgiving movie?
It's Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
You know. That and the worst... I want to say what they've rated as one of the worst holiday movies of all time. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Which has become like a meme. There's the one guy in that film.
The Garbage Day meme, yeah.
Yeah, the Garbage Day meme. It's, hey, Alexa, be quiet. Yeah, Alexa decided to chime in there for a minute. I don't know that we said anything that sounded like that.
One of the
maybe she just wanted to chime in on Christmas movies.
One of my
or maybe she thinks she's for the garbage.
One of your favorite what? I'm sorry.
One of my favorite Christmas specials is And All Through the House from Tales from the Crypt.
Right. Oh God, I missed the original Trails from the Crypt movies. I like.
There's a movie I always wanted to see.
I'm really disappointed that they.
Go ahead.
I'm disappointed that they didn't continue with the Tales from the Crypt movies because I loved Demon Knight and I loved Bordello of Blood.
Yeah, they're both really good, especially Demon Knight. Billy Zane just acts his ass off in that movie.
That was a good movie.
It's one of those films that I point to when you try to show like an actor's versatility. There's just like with, oh God, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. Why did I forget that name for a minute? And Alexa over here is still trying to chime in. I'm not talking to you, Alexa. Be quiet. When I think of Leonardo DiCaprio and I think about his versatility, the first thing that comes to mind is What's Eating Gilbert Grape and his performance as Arnie in that film.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was a gut-wrenching movie. It was good.
When I think of Tommy Lee Jones, I immediately go to Batman Forever when he played Two-Face. That is probably one of the most outlandish performances. He out-acted Jim Carrey in that movie as far as I'm concerned.
You think so?
Oh, I really did. Because Jim Carrey, you expect it from. You expected it from him. And I feel like Tommy Lee Jones loathed Jim Carrey so much during that movie, which is like a known fact. He hated working with Jim Carrey. That he decided to step it up and outplay him. And I think he did fantastic as Two-Face. If you're going for a campy version of Two-Face, that was perfect.
That's, you know what? I always gave him a lot of shit for his Two-Face. I'm more of a Richard Mule Two-Face guy.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
Right. I mean, I liked him better than I'm trying to remember the guy's name. The guy that played it in The Dark Knight.
Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah, I liked him.
Whatever happened to him? Like, I thought he was going to be like a guy, like a movie star, and he just kind of fell off after Dark Knight.
I think he's still doing things.
I think he still has a penis.
Yeah, just that we said he fell off, not it fell off.
No, he's like, I thought he was going to be a guy, and I'm like, I think he still am.
What I mean by that, like,
I know.
Big, yeah,
like big.
He's going to be the next big thing.
He's still doing stuff. It's just, I think almost everything he's doing right now is like B-list under the radar. He's playing supporting characters.
Yeah, it's sad in a way.
I mean, he's a great actor.
Everybody else in that movie, like they went on to, except for Heath Ledger, everyone went on to do like bigger things. And
you know that if Heath Ledger were still here, he would have blown up after that movie. Like he still went on to do the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah,
I mean,
that turned out pretty decent. I mean, for a movie that had to get halted midway through and Terry Gilliam had to figure out a way to fix that his main actor died, I think he interweaved the story very well.
Right. You are now several different characters instead of just one, or several different people all being one character.
Yes, and the way he interwove it is that character was never himself. He was always a con man. So when he goes into this alternate realm, he's a different person. I mean, that's a good way to solve a.
That's a film I don't think gets talked about enough.
Editing issue.
That was a classy way to do it. They could have just killed the project if they wanted to, and I think they did it the classy way, as they figured out a workaround.
Right.
And they kept what would have been his last work completely alive, and did a pretty damn good job of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
All right.
I don't think I've seen it since it came out, but I remember walking out of the theater entertained.
I saw it earlier this year. I've got it in my Vudu rotation. I kind of cheat the system a little bit. I purchase a lot of movies to get the code out of it. So, I'll purchase movies, we'll watch them a couple times here, and then once we've watched it, I'll download the Vudu code, and then we will move on. We got a local new and used media place that we love going to, Bull Moose. That's where I get all my boutique Blu-rays for the most part. So anything from 88 Films, Arrow Entertainment, so on and so forth, I pick it up from there. I can pick it up directly from the site, but why not support both the company and, the
filmmaker itself, yeah.
The filmmaker, yeah. I mean, I think that I would love to see certain places distribute independent films a little bit more than they do. I guess you gotta...
I was talking to my friend earlier about that. The reason we had movies like Spookies and Night of the Comet and any other VHS horror or sci-fi cult movie you can think of. The reason that a lot of those happen is because a lot of those independent companies, big studios, big distribution companies, took chances on them, and you could distribute VHS a lot cheaper than you could DVD now.
Right.
Back then.
So
that's why the community was a lot bigger back then. Well, at least the distribution community was a lot bigger.
I have to go out and purchase another copy of your movie.
Why?
Because I've passed it around so much, it's getting a little worn. So it's gone. I passed it around to people at work and friends from my other job. A lot of people have watched it now. So
I've never seen your movie. I need to see it.
Well, it's called Slaughter Beach. We're going to do a shameless plug here, and you can buy it pretty much anywhere now. It's on streaming on Amazon Prime. It's you can buy the physical copies off bestbuy.com, fye.com, or you can get the limited edition Blu-ray on srscinema.com. And you can follow us, Clock Out Films, at Instagram.
Go to SRS Cinema. That's where I went. I got the poster and everything. I actually have to go get a frame for the poster because it's going up in between everything over here. It's going on my wall.
Poster. I need your address so I can send it so I can get signed.
Absolutely.
And it's not a shameless plug. I actually should have given you the time to do it at the head of the podcast and instead of the beginning. Or instead of the end. Sorry.
Some shifting around. And
it's we're just gonna pull this shameless plug moment and put it all the way.
This is good. It's funny, we're making fun of the editing of Spookies and how much turmoil they went through, and now I think karma is going to hit you, Chris, and you're going to find yourself in that same situation.
I'm going to find myself in a bad edit.
This episode makes sense now.
I had a bad editing situation recently where my cat, unbeknownst to me, had knocked the wire out of the wall while I was recording, and I wasn't looking over here, and everything had stopped. The computer went dead. And so I missed the second half of a podcast that I had done with another podcast group, the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. Yeah, the one we did. You were there for that, right?
Yep.
And so I had to get their audio, but when they sent it to me, half of the audio was just garbled and jumbled. And so I had to do choice editing to kind of clip out certain things.
Oh, no.
We got maybe 75% of the podcast. The other 25% kind of hit the editing room floor. And then,
sorry, guys. This is going to be a shorter episode than usual.
when I put it out, I loaded it up wrong, so the front end of the podcast ended up in the back end, and the back end ended up in the front end, and I had to go and pull everything down and switch everything around.
Oh.
So I've had my own editing issues.
It's probably... And it's audio, and audio is like a bitch to get just right.
They have a bad signal in their house, so they can like record their own stuff. And if you've ever listened to the Strange and Beautiful Book Club podcast, they are like podcasting reviews, almost ASMR, the way that they talk. It was just very calming listening to them do the podcast, and then them being on the podcast opposite me and Piper, who are very animated. And they're very calm. It was sort of a wonderful contrast. It was interesting.
That's funny.
Trying to drag them back on again. They're going to try to work with us for an idea that we're working on called Romancing the Thunderdome.
Romancing the Thunderdome.
If you've had a chance to listen to our podcast, we do this little thing at the end where we'll pitch a movie. Either we'll try to pitch a sequel to whatever we're talking about, which we talked about the sequel, like how it would go, or we grab cards from a deck from a movie game called Pitch Storm, which I'm trying to remember the other games that they make. They mostly make card-based games. It's from Skybound Entertainment, and basically the idea is you get a plot and you get a premise, and you have to make a movie out of two pieces that don't seem to fit together. And whoever makes the best pitch wins. Well, we kind of fit that into our podcast. And the idea that we were all working on was, what if we took romantic couples from different movies, whether they be from romance movies, romantic comedies, horror, like any couple from movies, and fit them into a horror movie situation versus another couple. Which couple do we think would have the skill set to survive that particular situation? And it's just sort of a debate. Know a winning couple. And the whole idea is we're going to have at least 3 to 5 people on the panel, and whoever is the general consensus after going through the debate and kind of pitching how the movie would go, whichever couple is the general consensus will move on to the next step, sort of like a NCAA basketball
like
bracket.
The game.
Yes, basically. Just some ludicrous monster. Now, I'm going to have to add all the monsters from this movie. Just put them on the spinner. Just the weird Spider-Woman from Spookies or something,
Spider bitch.
But she gets her own main movie. It's not just Spookies. It's.
I already know who I'd want to put her against, because I know they'd whoop her ass.
Who? It's a couple, yeah.
Romancing the Thunderdome sounds like Romancing the Stone. I would put Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas from Jewel of the Nile and Romancing the Stone.
That's actually a good pick. See? I'm not saying that that'll actually happen, but it's a good pick.
Oh.
I know. I know you're not saying it's...
I can't even think of a better one, because they are really good in that movie together.
They were great in the...
all the movies that they did together were pretty damn good. Have you seen War of the Roses?
Of course, yeah.
I have not.
It's another with the trifecta: Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, you add Danny DeVito to the mix, gold. So
you had Danny DeVito to any mix in this gold.
Well, Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas were both basically the straight men. You had to have the comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Danny's perfect.
Wait, was Danny DeVito in Jewel of the Nile, or was
he in both?
Romancing the Stone?
He was in both.
I know he's in Jewel of the Nile. Oh, he was in both?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch those movies. I actually love those movies.
He kind of follows them. He followed them around in the 80s. He did a few different projects with them, whether with them as a group or individually.
Yeah, he followed them around.
Kathleen Turner's voice is the reason she got Jessica Rabbit.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That raw, husky, feminine, sensual voice.
Almost kind of like a cigarette voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Kathleen Turner didn't age very well.
Give her a break.
Okay, I'll give her a break. Well,
how old is she now?
I'm just saying, back when I watched her in the 80s, I had a thing for Kathleen Turner, but after seeing her as Chandler's dad, Maybe not quite as much.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, you didn't remember that?
I didn't watch Friends.
You didn't watch Friends. Okay. Kathleen Turner plays Chandler's father. But she's not playing it transgender. She's basically playing a cross-dressing man in the TV show. So basically they're saying that if you take off the wig or whatever else, it's a man underneath. So she's playing a cross-dresser, not somebody that's transgender in the TV show.
You know who else could play a cross-dressing man, but is still a woman?
Who?
Fuck, I forgot her name, but she played on Third Rock from the Sun. Kristen something.
Oh, Kristen. Oh, yeah. I can't remember her last name. Worth the life of me now. Kristen Johnston.
I thought on Third Rock from the Kristen Johnson. I thought on Third Rock from the Sun she was supposed to be a man.
No.
90s sitcoms were such a different era, weren't they?
They were.
I really liked that show, though. John Lithgow is fantastic as a comedian.
He is.
I like his comedic
He even
timing.
had like a good sense of humor about him in the Twilight Zone movie.
One of my
He had a
favorite,
good, like, dark sense of humor.
one of my favorite movies was him in Raising Cain.
Raising Cain. I don't think I saw that one. He was great as the villain in Buckaroo Banzai.
If you get a chance to pick up a copy of Raising Cain, look for the copy that actually has the editor's cut along with, or the director's cut along with it, because it's two completely different versions of the film. The way that they edit it together, the original film that went out into the theaters, it didn't make a lot of sense. But when the director got permission to edit it the way that he actually wanted it, and you watch the film again, it makes complete sense.
You know where he was a good villain?
Where was he a good villain?
Shrek.
Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad.
Plays in Shrek.
That is, for anyone adult watching that movie, you know that was just shy of them calling him a fuckwad.
Oh, yeah.
Lord Farquaad.
Lord Fuckwad.
What kind of world we would be in if Chris Farley stayed alive to complete Shrek?
Oh.
Just stayed alive in general.
He was originally Shrek, and Mike Myers took over after he died.
Oh, I did not know that.
I
just learned something.
I wonder if they still have any of his originally recorded lines.
They are somewhere. It was like very early character design animations.
See, it's one of those things that get buried that I really want to see, like the original cut of Back to the Future before they brought Michael J. Fox on to replace Eric Stoltz.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I don't know if you've seen a movie called Tiptoes, where Gary Oldman plays the dwarf brother of Matthew McConaughey.
I believe I vaguely remember that coming out.
The actual theater release and the original director's cut, there's like a 45-minute difference between the two films because of how much they cut out. And it was supposed to be a much more sentimental movie than the almost purely comedic movie that they put out in the theaters. So there's a lot of things. Or the rated R cut of Mrs. Doubtfire that they have floating around somewhere.
There's a rated R version of Mrs. Doubtfire.
They, you know how they allow.
Is this like a re-edited version to be R-rated, or is it just all of like Robin Williams' like R-rated riffing that they kept in the cut?
I think that's what it was. You know how they let comedic actors kind of riff and they figure out what they like and what they don't want, and almost 90% of the movie, all the stuff that he did was riffed. There was a basic guideline, but he kind of went with it. And a lot of his lines were sort of his own thing.
I believe it. I believe that there's an R-rated version of, that. Come to think of it, yeah. Robin Williams, his stand-up's pretty raw, so I assume that if they were just like, Robin, just do whatever for this take. All right.
Robin
Williams, a script is basically an outline.
Yeah. Can you imagine if there's an R-rated version of Aladdin out there somewhere?
Oh, gee.
There probably is.
Well, maybe Disney will do the right thing and release some of the R-rated versions of his films. What do you think?
There might be a TVMA version of Mork and Mindy.
How about a nice R-rated version of Peter Pan? Hook. Sorry.
Hook.
All right. Well, I think that's not a bad little bit for today. Thank you for coming over here and joining us again, Dan. I appreciate you coming
thank
by.
you for having me, Trick. This was fun.
Of course.
I had a blast watching Spookies last night.
Right? You're welcome back anytime. Throw something like this at me and we'll watch it. We'll watch something else. That was a blast, and I'm actually happy to hear that we all were watching it for the first time. So it's a first take for every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe real soon we can do a Christmas episode and just some obscure Christmas movie. It doesn't have to be horror.
I'm sure there's something
you can just
weird
be an old,
out there,
crappy, weird Christmas movie,
like Santa Claus versus the Martians or something like that.
That was what my mind went to originally, but I'm like, would that be worth a podcast though?
It might be. It might be worth just breaking down the original film and maybe seeing how it might be recast or somebody would redo it, doing like a remake.
It's definitely like the unofficial Ed Wood movie.
If you couldn't tell by how I was stammering right there, my brains have kind of trickled out the right ear and gone on their own for the day. So, so on behalf of myself, Miss Piper, if you'd like to...
In the words of Miss Honeybee, drink some water, you thirsty bitches.
That's like the unofficial way that we end the podcast. Like, year 3, she started doing that, and it's been the same way ever since. Drink some water, you thirsty bitches.
Drink some water, you thirsty bitches. These pretzels are making me thirsty.
They're so salty.
This is Two Chicks Talking Flicks, where we review movies. We try to dig deeper and go more in depth.
And profound for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, what? We even bring up relevant topics.
I remember from Punky Brewster that you don't go inside the fridge.
And we're here to have those tough conversations. Mm-hmm.
And she was wearing a white dress, which
was yellow.
Huh?
It was yellow. So if this sounds like the podcast for you, please enjoy. New episodes every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
We are the hosts of the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. On the Strange and Beautiful Book Club, Matt and I share our adventures discovering forgotten movies, television shows, and books in the science fiction, horror, and fantasy genre.
Not necessarily good movies, though.
Oh, certainly not. We love a good, bad movie. The quirkier, the funnier, the more campy, the better.
But we talk about some classics, too.
Of course, we can't ignore our favorites like Highlander or the 1990s vampire cop television show, Forever Night, which we are currently covering one episode at a time.
As if I could forget.
Oh, hush. You love every minute of it.
Come join us every week as we discover, discuss, and dissect fantasy, horror, and sci-fi genre classics. New episodes release every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful, too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye.